Hey everybody, this is Nick Cuenca from thehyperloops.com, and I'm here to bring you a little deck tech. We're in post-world world, if you will, and we've got, just have some fun before the new set comes out and try some different things. I don't think this deck's actually too bad. I haven't played it a ton. I worked on it for a while before, so now I'm going to start working on it again. And this is my current list, and I hope you enjoy it. It's just a rainbow villain vehicle deck, and the character lineup is Dr. Aphra, of course. She's the best. Deck wants to go late, so the shields are welcome, the damage is welcome, obviously. Resources are great. Her ability is fantastic. Getting to draw cards off of what you do. With BT the droid, drawing an extra card, you basically, once you get the BT, you'll have 6 cards in your hand every turn, and who doesn't want that? Followed by Sienna Ree, who is just a giant pile of meat in this deck. She has 9 health, and her ability is relevant-ish because we have vehicles, but generally our rate for vehicles is not going to be worth 2, maybe in the late game. 2 resources is fantastic. The 1 gun. Her die is actually really solid. I would consider playing her elite. Try that out, but I think just because we're playing best defense, we don't want to do that. And once we just play 1 die her, best defensing her is fantastic. If we've learned anything from the Bro TK decks, that's sort of a lesson from there, is that when you best defensive, your opponent just feels bad because, like, well, you have 6 health left. Like, it could go back. But if you have a Stormtrooper, it's 4 health, so... Here we have Night Sister, another pretty much just instead of this deck's kind of looking like Bro TK, but instead of Seven Sister I have Dr. Aphra, which probably not equal, but we get another color. But Night Sister is actually really interesting here because of her ability to deal damage and reroll dice. One of the things about these vehicle decks is you empty your hand on the first turn, and Night Sister can sort of add some consistency there. And we're rounding off our vehicles package with the Weapons Factory Alpha. We know that this is fantastic. It's when you win your roll, you're essentially getting an extra resource, which is very similar to Profitable Connections. So that's just great. With Aphra's dice, we're having a really good chance of winning the roll. Like, these dice are normal for their size, but hers are excellent. They're weighted very heavily. So moving on to the droids. So BB9 is a card that may look kind of bad and just not really great, but the fact that 33% damage, and the ability to disrupt, discard, and reroll opponent's die, all very relevant. He's free in this deck, which is not to be underestimated. Here BT is the star. He's definitely the best of the droids. Probably the best card in the deck, I'd say. Offensively, he just deals damage every turn. When you hit that 3, that's 3 more damage. You have such a high potential from 1 card. Just does so much damage. I love it. It is legendary. Unfortunately, you can only play 1, but that's generally what you need. You need BT and another offensive card, and that's usually going to be enough. Rounding off the droid suite, we have Astromech. Astromech looks terrible. I know he does, but he only costs 1 in this deck. And when we're trying to we're playing the dice to sort of focus into the other more powerful dice, it sort of adds a level of consistency. It's kind of like C-3PO. It's not as good as C-3PO, but the first one is good. It's very solid. The second Astromech is just stone terrible. So I can only play 1. It's sort of like a support little character. He just sits in the back and then he chills and then he just like flips the important vehicle dice to when the game turns around. So it's, I'd probably mull it. Maybe not. I'd probably just keep it just to try it out a bunch. And I have played it, and it's been good. When you hit that 2 focus, it's great. It's like a Maz's goggle. Backup muscle. So this is just kind of essentially like a BB9, but it costs 1, does 3 damage. It's sort of like in between these two in sort of damage output. And it's sort of classified also as a vehicle, but is consistent. Turns your resources into damage when you roll them with your own characters. If you have nothing else to do, it's a little slow, but your deck is slow, so that's fine. It's a very solid card in this deck. Tech Team gives us the economy to do a lot of these things. We're sort of oversaturating the board with dice, and then we're sort of maximizing that. So Tech Team, if you get on turn 1, it can add, by turn 3, it'll add 2 extra resources, which is fantastic. It's kind of like a chance cube. It's slower, but less susceptible to being messed with. They can't mess with Tech Team. So one of the big reasons to play blue is Kylo and Starfighter. Now this card has not found a home, but it is good. It's a lot like an airspeeder, except that you can be playing blue and you can only play one of it. It has spots where it's better than airspeeders. It has so I think in general it's probably better than an airspeeder, but the fact is that all the vehicle decks have been hero, and we haven't seen Kylo Ren Starfighter because it is a blue villain vehicle. It's very specific. Archangel is so we have some tricks coming up in this deck, and Archangel allows us to get action economy at the beginning of the turn, which will enable us to use our hand more effectively. Because of our battlefield, it will cost 1 a lot. So when a 1 die offensive card does 2 indirect damage, the upside is great. 1 damage for one resource isn't great, but over the course of the game that will add up. And the ability is great. Resource generations is fine. Sometimes the shields can be helpful depending on how the game's going. If you get flushed, you can protect your guys. That's not the worst. 1 shield, not great, but kind of consolation prize. Like, oh well, I don't need to reroll, or maybe you're just just make your decision. Obviously, not the most exciting side. Slave 1, it's unique, really good. I love Slave 1. I would play second 1. Try to find a way, even considering playing it over Kylo and Starfighter, but your starts are just much more powerful when you have Kylo and Starfighter with BT. This is a really powerful start. And Slave 1's just kind of expensive. Here we have some great removal with 3 colors. We can play all the best cards. He doesn't like use free. You can have a lot of derpy dice with your droids. Force Illusion, we know how powerful that card is. It's very good for keeping Aphra alive. The best defense is fantastic in this deck. It's especially good in the metagame when you just take 2 of their dice. When you have really good economy to go on top of that, you can play a very good pacing game where you've basically disrupted a lot of their resources for the turn. Overconfidence, also very solid. Your blue character is Night Sister, which they may or may not kill first. This isn't one I need to test out. Obviously the card's very good, but it needs to play out how long the games go. The games do go long, and I'm assuming that Night Sister will either be the second to die or the last to die. I don't think that generally she'll be the first to die. Here we have some tricks on top of a little more sort of defensive cards. We can move our damage around, which essentially negates it from their primary target, and it draws a card, so it's kind of a free roll in your deck. Great card. You can throw that damage into shields after you put them on. Just because of Aphra's draw card ability, it's definitely a very, very strong card. It's a must play. Relentless Pursuit is fantastic when you get the BT sort of start going. All that damage that he's doing is going to another guy, the guy that you want to kill. It's really hard to play around Relentless Pursuit. It just kind of blows people out, and will definitely let you kill someone. And here's some more late game, mid game tricks. Partnership. You can partnership a Aphra and the Archangel, and then 2 other supports. You roll 5 dice in, boom. That's great. You can let you get ahead on an action. So in a lot of like the end game scenarios, you want to be able to sort of pivot and sort of like do this, and knock out their character before they can knock out your character. It is an interesting card for sure. I'm not sure if it's the best card. I'm just trying it out. It's pretty sweet, just from flavor perspective. It's just a great card. Got some droid pictures on there. I don't think it's terrible. I'm not sure if it's the right card, but it definitely has potential to be a card that can win you the game, or no other card could have. And rounding it up, we have Probe. Probe is a very powerful card. In the metagame, you deal with a lot of very expensive, powerful events. Some decks their whole plan is to just play a bunch of cards and then have really powerful events. And it's sort of like a mid-turn, mid-round sort of card. They're setting up, and then they discard to reroll, and sometimes they have 2 or 3 cards. You take 2 of their cards. A lot of times they're going to discard, only have 2 cards. You probe them, you take 2 events. It's just going to be great. It's especially good against Rayla, Stairs. And the reason is that they have really powerful events that they're not going to be getting rid of. It's hard for them to play around Probe. A lot of times they're re-rolling to get to the CQA that they're holding in their hand. You probe the CQA out of their hand, you probe the guard. They were saving that card. They were saving those cards to mess with you, and you messed with them. Now their dice aren't that great anymore. They're just kind of I don't have any. I needed a reroll to hit my damage, and I didn't. So there you have it, folks. That's 30 beautiful cards. I wanted to talk a little bit about the cards that didn't quite make the cut. So this deck can have a different kind of character lineup depending on how you want to play it. Was going heavy with the Aphra idea because I wanted just that package. But in theory, you could play a different yellow character, and maybe perhaps go in a Mother Talzin direction. I didn't play Separatist Landing Craft because it doesn't have any damage sides, so I learned my lesson there. Flanking Maneuver could be cool. It's sort of like the bursty card, like Partnership. I just feel like Partnership is a card you can use at the beginning of the round, whereas Flanking Maneuver just takes so long to activate. A lot of times you're gonna have to use die mitigation. You play something, you want to activate it. You need to play something, a support, to get into the pool. 2 is a lot. Outpost is I told her the idea of a different battlefield, which is loading dock. And if you go loading dock with Separatist Landing Craft and Outpost, you can bring back an infinite, well, not an infinite, but as many turns, as many times your opponent will let you battle droids. There's a bunch of other different ways to do it. You can like Grand Moff, so if I were to play, anyways, this might be a different deck, completely. Friends in Low Places, Karna in our deck. I'm worried about Aphra dying, so I didn't want to have too many spot yellows. The card's great. I think the card's good. It's just I'm trying other cards out. It's one of those cards that'll probably just end up back in the deck. You probably can cut some of the other stuff. But I thought that Partnership needed to be tried. That's probably the spot it would be in if you were to cut it. That's a great card. Yeah, we already have the Overconfidences. Let's see. Houndstooth is just another vehicle. Sort of enables more dice spamming because it can get you that extra resource. it might have a place in the deck. We're sort of all the dice cards are sort of fighting with each other for space. And this is the one. It is really good with Aphra because you can always turn like her worst die into a resource. So maybe I'll give it. Maybe I'll give it a whirl. There's partnership, crash landing. So there's just a lot of. There's like Yoda Hondo is a deck that doesn't really care about crash landing. It is a really good card. Depending on the metagame, it's just that there's a lot of Yoda Hondo. So it's my biggest thing. You can play one crash landing, and that's fine. Maybe it's better than maybe one partnership, one crash landing, one friends, something like that. Cover team is a card I tried. It's better in the more indirect damage versions, like if you play Dark Advisor and Rebel Trader or some garbage like that. Interrogation Droid is sweet. Sort of more get cards out of your opponent's hand. It is nice with Archangel when you roll in. It's giving you like an automatic thing you're doing where you just roll in, take the card out of their hand. If it's something that you want to take, you can take it automatically. So, but at the same time, it's just kind of, it doesn't have any damage sides. So, no, it's just like you could play it. It's a fun card. Best defense, we got it. Witch Magic are. This is sort of a holdover from old Talzin lists that I tried. It's kind of hard to make that all work. Entangle is more expensive than my other options, so I think Entangle is the call. Is not the call. Vandalize is just a great card. We have some dice that sometimes are not going to be good, but we do want to be doing damage with them. So we only have 4. You could play 1 or 2, but it's like a metagame thing. It just didn't seem very exciting. It didn't seem very fun to me. But it's definitely a very playable card. You could put it in your deck, and no one would think you were stupid. Free for all. So this is consideration for some type of partnership free for all turn, where you roll an Aphra, you're rolling your 3 dice, and then you free for all. So it's 5 damage for 2 cards and 2 resources, which is pretty good. That's actually like fine. So I was thinking about that as a way of doing it. We do have some like those derpy dice against the 2 character decks. I just feel like we're already good against 2 character decks, and against the 3 character decks, we're sort of hoping just to outlast them, and that's like one of the good things about playing 3 characters versus playing like 2 characters. So then it just felt like win more in the spots that you're already good in. Battle Fatigue, great removal, could be in there if we find overconfident. If we find our blue characters dying too quickly, we could slot it in overconfidence. And Bubble Shield is if we wanted to go into a more crash landing Bubble Shield sort of world with dangerous maneuver, we could do that. All right, well, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. And as always, may the rolls be with you.